think that that's really kind of the way we need to start thinking about it. And so, what do you see in terms of actual impact? When an entrepreneur gets access to AI powered coaching through ENA, what changes for their business specific?
I used Ina to build Ina. Like literally, that's how effective it is. Like so, literally, I start asking her questions. She refuses to like say Ina. She says ENA because she like, no, nah, I'm Ina. Like that's not Ina. But anyway, I've been used to her to help me build the business. And the people that the user testing that we've been having has been very, very positive. People are greatly surprised about how good it is. It's not giving wrote out answers. It asks a lot of questions. If you ever been in a business coaching session with a business coach, it operates like a business coach. It's not going to give you the answers. It's going to go back and forth with you. It's going to help you come to the answers. Is Lena, and basically what it is it's an economic development infrastructure platform. So on the front end for small businesses, it provides them with 24/7 coaching and support via a small business hotline. So they can call it. It provides them coaching, guidance. It refers them to organizations in the city that provides them more resources. But on the back end, provides municipalities and governments key insights that they can use to make better investments, create better programs, and better policy to support small businesses.
And that's what we're all about with the Center for Entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship development, and community economic development. And so our topic today is the Black Tech Renaissance, AI's role in rebuilding wealth and community. Because as I tell people all the time, my perspective about entrepreneurship building is, yes, I want all of my entrepreneurs to be successful for their own success, right? I want you to make $1 million. But bigger than that, I want you to make $1 million so that your community is healthier for you being in it. So there's a larger perspective to this whole business support idea, and some of the work that Jason is doing and that I want to talk about today is like, how does that support the larger ecosystem, the larger community of work? And so my first question is that we hear a lot about AI being a generational opportunity. And again, Karen talked a little bit about generational wealth as well. But we've also heard this about other technologies, crypto, and the internet was a big thing. I remember when that came out, and all the things that we could do, from our mobile phones. But what's fundamentally different about AI for Black communities today?
So pretty much, I mean, I think ultimately it gives us superpowers as business owners that we didn't have before, right? How many people had like a great app idea that they never were able to launch? And then a couple years later, they see somebody launch it, right? And then it becomes highly successful, right? How many people wish they had like additional employees that help them with their business, right? So the cool thing about AI is that it is a technology that can solve a lot of these problems for us, right? Typically, a lot of the most successful businesses or the biggest opportunities are high growth ventures that typically involve some level of technology, some ability to scale, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of times, Black folks and other, communities of color have been shut out of those ecosystems because they haven't had the money, the friends and family round to be able to, build the first MVP and things like that. I ain't got no rich uncles. I'm trying to be the rich uncle, but I don't got any rich uncles or anything like that I could just tap, and do that. So that would leave a lot of us out of, of those opportunities. But with AI, it creates an opportunity where if you have an idea, if you learn the technology, and I promise you, if you spent like a good 6 months learning how to use tools like Lovable or Bolt, which helps you build applications, using tools like Lindy that allow you to be able to like automate workflows and things like that, you can really transform your business, right? And you can really be able to do things that you thought you would have been able to do before, right? Everything from create content, and even like creating your own content. Like a lot of my content sometimes when I'm on camera is an AI clone of me. It's not really me, right? But pretty much I'm able to like scale in a way I don't gotta get in front of the camera. So why. So pretty much use my clone, create a script, put it on social. I'm on to the next thing as opposed to getting in front of a camera doing 30 takes over and over again. And then my wife was like, oh, you think you get it right? And my wife look at my wife Jamaican and she highly, critical and highly specific. And I'll say that check out, that no good, man. Like, I'm like, so I don't got to go through those struggles, right? So it's a transformative technology. So what does that mean for us as people, right? I've been in the economic small business support space for over 15 years. And one of the biggest challenges, two of the biggest challenges that we have as business owners are access to capital, which everybody knows, access to management knowledge, right? So pretty much you have literally a pocket PhD in your everybody has a pocket PhD on their phone if they have Chat GPT. So you can use this tool to help you understand the things that you don't know to help you, grow your business. And then from a capital standpoint, right? Like you don't need like $50,000 or $60,000 to build that application now. If you take your time, learn some basic principles and just learn how to communicate with AI. And I go across the country teaching business owners how to use AI, how to prompt effectively, the different tools.
Absolutely blown away with what they were able to learn and implement in 8 weeks. 3 tools to automate. Yeah. So when we talk about AI, I really do believe that it's a leveling field for all of us because we are now equipped with all of the knowledge that there is on any subject. So there's no reason for us to not be able.
200 to 300,000 in monthly recurring revenue, at the ground level. So this is an opportunity that we can get left out on. It actually started at the ground level and it's going up. And that's why I think it's different as well compared to some of the other technology, revolutions.
Yeah, and that leads to the next question, because we are always talking about in our community that we're last to get it, or we're left out. We were left out of the the internet bubble and all the things because we didn't have the cash. But since AI is consumable and it's open source, most of it, what do you see as the specific risks of us not being a part of this economy?
I did a Google Dome now.
And as a follow up, what does that look like in 5 to 10 years if you don't?
So I'll say this, right? I think how you view AI depends on like your mindset, right? If you have a scarcity mindset, you look at AI as something to be afraid of. You look at it as something that's going to take your job. You look at it as something that you got to be on the defense of, right? And you hear a lot of that online. But if you operate from an abundance mindset, or like I like to say, an opportunity mindset, you like, what this do? Let me see what this do. Let me figure it out, right? And then you start playing with the tools and you look at it completely different. Instead of looking at it from a fear perspective, you're looking at it like, what can I do with this? How can I leverage it? How can I integrate? So number one, first and foremost, I encourage you all to look at AI from an opportunity mindset and not from a scarcity mindset. It's not something to be afraid of. We only afraid of things that we're not aware of or we don't understand. But if you take the time to understand it, figure out how to leverage some of these tools, your fear is gonna go from literally like, oh, I'm scared of this, like, oh, I'm about to get to the bag, right? Like you will literally shift if you just take the time to learn the tools, understand how to leverage them and things like that. But as far as like how things are gonna play out, and this is just my hypothesis, I'm not like, this isn't based on any scholarly research or anything like that, but there's a lot of conversations around it. We're gonna, in 5 to 10 years, we'll get to the point where the cost of human labor is so expensive it's not worth it, right? Because AI will be able to do things cheaper, faster, and better, right? So in the economic marketplace, if what you're bringing to the marketplace as an exchange is labor, you're gonna be shut out, right? Because your label's not gonna be as valuable. There are gonna be certain things like creative endeavors. Like I think like handcrafted stuff becomes more valuable because it's more scarce. Because obviously in the economics, the more something's, the more scarce something is, the more valuable it becomes. So how we look at, oh, I want a record player, like a record player that was like $10 back in the 80s is like $300 now. Like that's where certain things like handcrafted goods, childcare, we're not gonna want robots taking care of our children, right? Even like nurses, right? I think nurses are more safe than doctors, right? Because nurses provide that individual touch, that concern, it's gonna be all right, that encouragement. So anything that involves a human connection, I actually think is gonna become more valuable. But if you're a knowledge worker and you're a coder or you're an accountant, paralegals are already out the game, right? If you're a knowledge worker and the only thing you're exchanging is labor, then you're gonna be shut out. So what's the alternative, right? The alternative is owning a system, right? So real estate and land is gonna become more valuable as well, right? So the thing is owning a system, right? So, because if you own a system that generates revenue, which is basically a business, entrepreneurship, right? Then you'll be able to continue to create value, right? So AI allows you to quickly systematize your knowledge. And I always tell people, if you've been in your industry for like 10 to 15 years, or you become an expert in something, and you see a problem that's not being solved, like this is a time right now for you to leverage AI and solve that problem, get to that money. So when like if AI takes over and Terminator comes, you already got enough money to go to that island. You good, right? Like, so, when they come, like, you be one of the, oh, we're the last of the living, we in Mars. Like, you can get to the bricks. I think there's a 5-year period, right? Where because a lot of people are gonna be late to adopting the technology because they're gonna be afraid of it. They're not gonna be paying attention. They got other things going on in life, et cetera, et cetera. And I think there's a 5-year period where you can make it a superpower and you can leverage it to grow really fast, right? And then by the time everybody gets on it and it's commonplace and people are like, I better upskill, you already ahead of the game. Another thing too is this, and I'm gonna say something that's controversial, but I don't think AI certifications are valuable. Sorry for people who got them, but and I'm gonna tell you why. Because the technology, so we went from like if you get a QuickBooks certification, in the past, QuickBooks was the same for like 5 years. So if you got a QuickBooks certification, you was good for like 5 to 10, and then you'll go get a recert, right? And they added one feature, and you pay to get the recertification, right? Or whatever. These technologies are moving so fast that by the time you get certified in it, it's already obsolete because they added new feature, they added a new model, et cetera, et cetera. So for people asking me, should I go get a cert? No, just learn the tools. Learn the tools and execute on them. Me and one of my former coworkers at the league that used to work there named Monique, she was in workforce and she always talked about like everything leads to a credential or a certification. I'm like, entrepreneurs, like what we gonna do with a credential? We're not trying to get a job. You know what I'm saying? And we used to argue about that. But I say that to say that in general, just learn the tools. Like learn the tools and stay up to date because you're gonna constantly have to learn. Like, so there's some AI channels that I follow, AI Advantage, this dude named Greg Eisenberg, there's a couple other folks that I follow that keep me up to date. That's like my daily, dose of what's new, what's the latest tools and everything and all of that, because you got to stay up to date. So pretty much if you're able to learn the tools, execute them, leverage them, there you can supercharge and really grow your wealth and everything in a short period of time where by the time everybody catches up, they're behind. And they're behind several cycles because they're still using ChatGPT like it's 2023 and it's 2030, and the thing walks and takes out the garbage and everything at this point, and they still prompting.
But one of the things that I did want to just follow up on, because I think that there is a hysteria being created around AI and what it's going to do and what jobs it's going to take out. But I heard this anecdote. I don't remember who said it, but somebody was talking about the things that are going to become obsolete because of AI. And they use the example of horse-drawn carriages. And they were saying that, at one point there were jobs, people who picked up horses.
Yep. I think you should have called it. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Y'all want me to keep it a buck? People saying, "Oh, they'll create new jobs." Yeah, it may create new jobs, but you gotta remember, people are literally talking about theoretically, they think it's gonna happen. You might have your first multi-billion-dollar one-person companies, right? Like there's gonna become a company. Hopefully it's me. Hopefully y'all talking. Stay nice to be y'all not playing.
I am.
But there's gonna be theoretically a company that's gonna be the first billion-dollar one-person company, right? So when that happens, what you think these companies gonna do?
Fire on it.
They gonna trim down. They already doing it, right? So what I'm saying is this: get y'all some land, get you some real estate, get you some land, because that's gonna always be valuable.
So get your credit together.
So get your credit right. See the housing department. See Pound Stallings, right? Get your credit together. Get you some land, and then leverage AI to build a system. Because I kind of equated that to the days before the Industrial Revolution. So before the Industrial Revolution, we were like farmers, we were like blacksmiths, like people's last names were their job. Like I don't know what John did, but I was John's son or whatever, right? of smiths were blacksmiths, et cetera, right? They were all entrepreneurs. It was an entrepreneurial ecosystem, right? Then, when the Industrial Revolution, yeah, remember, corporations and the educational institutions that we are used to now are less than 500 years old. None of that was around the way it is currently constructed in the 1600s. Everything was a result of the Industrial Revolution. Because when the Industrial Revolution happened, they needed laborers, so people started moving to it started moving to the cities. You come out with cotton gins and things like that. You don't need as many people, you know, and then the Southerners in America was exploiting, labor through us. But that's a whole nother story. I don't need to get into that. But in general, agriculture, you needed less people agriculturally. More people was moving to the cities, and then the education system was a result of that because we needed to educate people. So we needed to create a component style education system to put people into particular jobs, right? So everything we have right now as a result of the last industrial revolution. Well, I remember to in the economic marketplace, you're obsolete because AI could do everything cheaper, faster, and better. So you have to leverage these tools to build you a system that monetizes where people, because people are going to become still looking. People are going to start craving those, like, people are going to start craving non-AI stuff, and then interacting with people who's probably still using AI for services and things like that. So if you have a passion, if you have a talent, there's never been a better time to monetize it and to build it into something big, leveraging these tools. So build systems, because in about 10, 15 years, my hypothesis is you're not going to be able to exchange labor in the economic marketplace.
So specifically, Jason, when you say build systems, give us some hard examples of what type of systems you're talking about need to be built.
So let's say you have a marketing company, right? Let's say you launch a marketing company. You have an AI agent that goes out and does your SDR, which is your sales development and everything. So they go out, the AI automatically goes out and looks for your client. You could build a tool like this with Lindy. Lindy actually has a preset SDR. Well, all you gotta do is plug in your account logins, and then it's ready to go. Right? It's a school called Lindy AI. So you can have an AI agent that's going out and doing your sales development, getting clients. You got an AI agent that's automatically doing your social media, posts and everything and all of that. You got the AI that that quickly like gets rid of a lot of the labor that you have to do, crafting visuals and things like that, and creating social media calendars and everything for your customers. So you're literally going to have these systems where all of the things that you would have had to hire people to do, and as a business owner, maybe you're struggling because you don't have the capacity. Now these tools unlock you and give you the capacity to have a lot of these things that you would have had to hire people for, executive assistants, people going out doing social media calendars. Now you have these AI agents doing all of these different things, and you kicking it, right? And you're building new business. You can start thinking about the strategy further and everything and all of that. A lot of as these tools get better, a lot of us are going to be able to just create automated systems that generate revenue for us. Of course, there's going to be you got to be the human in the loop managing it and things like that. That's how they're going to get to the first $1 billion one person company. It's going to be a person managing. So we go from doing to directing. We go from creating to curating, right? So that's what's going to end up happening, and that's how I think we're going to be able to make money in this market.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say. Yeah. So I want to turn the questions a little bit toward Ina, the system that you're building that I do know a little bit about, but I want people to hear about it. Tell us specifically, because I already know the answer to this, but I want you guys to know the answer to this. Tell us specifically why you built it, and how is it going to really help underrepresented entrepreneurs by using your system?
Perfect. All right. So pretty much everybody, one of the biggest opportunities with AI that a lot of people are sleeping on is education, in the sense that, and coaching, right? In the sense that, you know, these tools can be leveraged to educate you on what you don't know, right? So anybody who knows me, back when I was at the league and just in general, people know I'm passionate about people getting the knowledge that they need to grow their business successfully, right? So that hasn't changed. And part of the reason we built Eno was because I still saw gaps in like how small businesses are receiving support in like the ecosystem. So, for example, let's say you have a problem at midnight on a Saturday. Who you gonna call? You can't call Ghostbusters, but like, who you gonna call? You can't call the Urban League, Kelly and you know. And I'm gonna be honest. When I was running the center, I don't know how you do. We didn't take walkies just because we didn't have the bandwidth to, right? So if you need support on something really fast, how you gonna get that support, right? With our platform, ENA, you can call a hotline. We have a specific hotline in each market, and you can call and you can get that advice that you need from an AI that's trained to be a business coach. Anybody who's worked with me know I say this humbly, but I just say this because they tell me I'm a damn good business coach, right? So the AI is trained based on my approach and everything and all of that on making sure that it's an effective business coach, right? But it's not meant to replace a human coach, right? Because there's certain things like cybersecurity or things where you actually, or a lawyer, where you're gonna actually need an expert, right? So the AI doesn't like replace the expert. No, when it's done helping you in that immediate moment, then it can send a referral to a business support organization, for you to get further guidance. And then the business or support organization can receive it, connect with you, and things like that, right? Another issue I saw was if English was their second language, people would have trouble getting support. Now, there's a lot of Spanish speaking resources in Chicago, but if you speak like Czechoslovakian or like Ukrainian or something like that, you may not be able to find someone who can speak in your language if you don't speak English. You need support, which basically shuts out a lot of different people. Ina speaks 32 different languages. So when you call, she'll say, "Hey, welcome to the business hotline. This is Ina." You like, "Como estás?" And instantly start going into Spanish or whatever language you speak. Like the moment she hear you speak the language, she'll transition into that. Also, I think people don't know what they don't know as far as the resources, and she's able to tell you what's out there and connect you with the proper resources. So that's the front end, right? But on the back end, organizations like the Urban League, foundations like the Coleman Foundation, the Chicago Community Trust, corporations who are investing in the city like BMO, Zero Barrier to Business, and endless other, organizations. They're trying to guess how to best support small businesses, but they don't know how. Like they're making assumptions, they're making guesses. They may hire a company to come in and do an ecosystem assessment, but that's just a snapshot. And they got to make decisions for the next 5 years on a snapshot, right? On how to support businesses. So all of these conversations are aggregated and anonymized to provide insights to business support organizations to help them inform better policies, better financial products for business owners, better programming for business owners, and better just better investments overall, right? So if you're Kelly and you have access to the platform, you can say, I need to create a program for Black-owned technology companies based on the data. Could you provide me some insights? And you could type it in just like ChatGPT, and it'll give her a whole wealth of ideas supported by the evidence and everything and all of that.
And I think that's so important. A couple of things that you said, to have access to those type of resources because because we're not 24 hours, and I have to tell people this all the time. Like, stop calling me at 9 o'clock. I'm not gonna ever pick up my phone, because I have a life and I have kids and and a family.
Either don't got a light.
No, no, no. To answer your question, but what I do understand is that because I've been that entrepreneur who's on a timeline who needs this question answered right now because it is 11:58 and my grant is due at midnight and I don't know the answer to this question. Speaking of grants, got Verizon in the room, got a grant coming up. Please get on our Verizon platform. Apply for the grant shameless plug for Verizon and our
What up, Mark?
grant. But being able to have access to information when you need it is game changing. It really is. But it also, if I can just be real, I got a dope team, but we don't know everything. Y'all can come and ask us questions, and we be like, I don't know the answer to that because we're human and we're not an AI powered person. So we don't have all the answers. But when we have tools that have the answers that we don't have, that's game changing. And so I think it's so important to understand that this tool is not just for fun. It's not just for asking crazy questions like, how do I say
You want to have that.